Hello, welcome to Psych 100 General Psychology. I'm your instructor, Larissa. You can get to know a little bit more about me in the course introduction discussion that's posted on Canvas. In this video, I'm going to be showing you kind of a walkthrough of our Canvas course. I'm going to show you how to navigate everything, where to find assignments, kind of the structure of the class. And I'll also talk a little bit about some tips just to kind of help you be successful in this course as well. So let's open up our Canvas course. So if you jump into our class on Canvas, this is what you're going to see. So I'm just going to kind of walk through how you should navigate this course, like I said, where to find assignments, etc. First thing you should note, you're probably used to this if you've interacted with Canvas in any other class, but on the left-hand side, you'll see a navigation menu over here with all of the kind of important parts of the class. Most of the time, you're going to stick to this home page. That's where you can find pretty much everything. There will also be announcements. You've already seen a few of these as there are updates. If there are questions that I'm getting, anything like that, then that will show up in the announcements up here. But you can also click on this announcements tab if you want to see past announcements. There's also the syllabus, which is very important. I'll go over that in just a minute. Grades, where you can find how you're doing in the course. I believe, so I will say, as the instructor, I tend to see a specific view of Canvas that's different from the students. You might notice this pink sort of frame around my window that says I'm in student view, but even when I'm in student view, things are kind of different from my perspective. And grades in particular is one that's kind of different for me from you. So if you ever have any questions about grades, I will do my best to answer, but if it's something about the way Canvas is showing it, we might have to meet through Zoom or something to kind of sort that out. There's also a button where you can find assignments. Those will also be listed on this homepage as well. And the modules button will basically take you to this exact same page too. So really home is where you're going to spend most of your time. When you come to this homepage, like I said, first thing at the top will be announcements. The next thing you will see are course resources. So these are things that will be important throughout the entire quarter that you will come back to multiple times. There's another link here to the syllabus. There's a discussion prompt here where you can post any questions for the class that you think are relevant to everyone. So if you have questions about assignments, something about the format of the course, anything like that that you think would be useful for other students to see, then you can post those questions here and I will reply to them here so that everyone can see the answers to those questions. If it's something that's maybe more specific to you personally, that's not relevant to the whole class, then you can send those questions to me either through email or you can use like the messaging function on Canvas, and I will get back to you on those more kind of specific to you questions in that way. So back to the home page. In addition to those, the syllabus and the questions, I have a link here to some technical help on LCC's website. So if you go to this link, that will give you information about Canvas, about setting up your email. A really important thing that you should do on that page, if you don't already have it, is to go and download Office 365. So that will include things like Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint, which you will need to be successful in this class. So you will need to use Word in order to complete some of the assignments. So you have access to Word for free as a student at LCC. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. And again, you can find instructions for how to download that at this link. Throughout the quarter, like I said, if you have questions about class, about assignments or content, send those to me. If you have any technical issues, I would recommend that you first go to this link. And if you can't figure it out through the information there, then your best bet is going to be to send an email to like e-learning or to the IT at LCC, because I'm not a computer science person. I'm still fairly new to Canvas, so they will probably be able to answer your technical questions faster than I could. And then the other thing you'll see on this course resources page, which I'll talk about more later, are resources for these career report assignments that you'll be doing throughout the quarter. So I put these up here because you'll need to access them multiple times. They don't really fit into a specific week. So as you're working on those career report assignments, you might need to come back up to this top portion to access those resources. Like I said, I'm actually going to make a separate video about the career report assignment. So you will be able to see that later after this one. Okay, so as we scroll through the rest of our Canvas page, what you will see are each of the weeks for the quarter. Currently, I have up to week 3 visible. Probably by the time you watch this video, you might actually have all 10 weeks of the course visible. But for now, we've just got these 3. Each week is broken up into 2 sections. The first section are resources. These are things like the chapters that you will read and the lecture videos that you will watch. So just so you know, all of these recordings come from a previous quarter. Most of them will come from the fall quarter. I may post a few that were from the winter quarter. So just keep in mind, if I ever reference anything that's like date-based, you need to ignore that because that's from a previous quarter of the class. You also might notice, I'll just point this out because this might cause some confusion later. So for example, on week 2, we have this recording here about research. If you open that up, it might say like week 1 research instead of week 2. And that's just because whenever I did that lecture in the fall and posted it for my students then, it was in week 1 instead of week 2. So don't let that confuse you. You should be doing in week 2, whatever is posted under week 2. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions about that. Okay, so we've got resources. Again, those are the things that you'll basically watch or read in order to learn the content. And then you will also have assignments as well each week. Typically, each week you're going to have a quiz. There's not a quiz in week 1 because we haven't covered any content yet I could quiz you over. But every other week there will be a quiz that you need to complete. Then in addition to that, there will be a discussion and or an assignment. So sometimes you might have a discussion and an assignment. Sometimes it'll just be a discussion or an assignment. You've already done some discussions. So this first week 1, I had you introduce yourself. I think pretty much all of you have also done the week 1 discussion, kind of asking you some questions about history, why it's important, etc. Let's open up one of these and just kind of look at some of the instructions. There's already a response there. We can kind of ignore that. So for every discussion, it's really important usually that you read the textbook chapter and watch the lecture video first, because that will give you some context that helps you answer the questions. I will always give you kind of multiple question prompts. You might notice I don't really have a length requirement, and that's because it really depends on how you write and how you think and what the specific discussion prompt is. I would say in general, I'm typically looking for a pretty lengthy paragraph or so in response, but I don't necessarily grade based, exclusively on length. The most important thing when you're responding to these discussions is to make sure that you answer every part of my prompt. So usually they will be phrased as questions. And so, make sure that you're answering every single question that I give you there. So you need to first post a response to my prompt. Then in addition to that, to get a little bit of interaction between students, it's always great if we can get some sort of replies going and a little bit of threaded response where we're having maybe some back and forth. However, in my experience, if I force students to do that, I tend to get a lot of just kind of like, I agree, that's interesting, not really substantive responses. So for this class, I'm doing things a little differently. You are required to give an initial response. Then if you want to reply to some of your classmates and give me something that has some substance, then I'll give you, maybe 2 or so extra credit points for those responses. Something you should note, you can only earn up to 10 points of extra credit in this class. So, if you're getting 2 points per reply, then basically 5 replies will get you up to that 10 points. So once you reach that 10-point maximum, I still encourage you to reply to your peers because it's always more fun if we're kind of engaging with our peers, in these discussions. But you won't receive any more extra credit past that 10-point cap. So just keep that in mind. So that's how discussions will work. So back to the home page. In addition to those discussions, you'll have quizzes. A couple things you need to know about the quizzes. One is that they will always be over the previous week's material. So quiz 1, which is in week 2, will be over week 1's material, which in that case was all about history. So quiz 1 will cover content about history. Quiz 2 will cover week 2, which was about research in this case. You have 3 attempts for each quiz. So you can take it up to 3 times, and your highest score is the one that I will take and grade. Something you will notice is that there are going to be very few like multiple choice or fill in the blank questions on these quizzes. A lot of them are going to be more open-ended, kind of short answer essay questions. And Canvas cannot automatically grade those types of questions. I have to go in and manually grade them. Now, the reason I give you 3 attempts is so that if you get anything wrong, you can go back and correct that. So for the essay questions, since Canvas doesn't grade it automatically, what I've done is I have feedback that you will receive that will basically tell you what the correct answer is. So there will be a question, you'll give your response, you'll submit your quiz, and then you should be able to see my feedback that tells you the correct answer for those more open-ended questions. So if you look at my feedback and you notice that your answer is completely different from mine, then you can go back, take the quiz again, and give yourself another chance to get that question correct. For those open-ended essay questions, you do not need to worry that your answer is exactly like mine. In fact, I would say it shouldn't be word for word identical to mine because it should be your own words that you're giving me the answers in. So as long as your answer is pretty close, similar, it's capturing the same ideas, then you're going to end up getting the full points for that. There will occasionally also be multiple choice or fill in the blank, which will be graded automatically by Canvas. Another thing, especially for like fill in the blank, I'm not super picky about spelling. So if you do a fill in the blank and maybe Canvas counts it wrong because you're 1 letter off or something like that, you do not need to go back and resubmit the quiz just to fix that spelling error. I will go in, and when I'm manually grading, I'll go in and fix that and give you the points, even if Canvas has marked it wrong just for spelling. So each week, like I said, you're going to have a quiz. You will have either a discussion or an assignment. If you have an assignment, then it's going to be more kind of like in this 3rd week, you have this one that's called Design Research, which is a worksheet that you will download. You'll fill it out, answer the questions, and then resubmit it. So I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick. So if we click on this Design Research assignment, there's a little bit of a description here, but basically what you need to do is download a worksheet. So I'm going to click on this link. You'll see a worksheet that looks like this. You cannot interact with this worksheet in the way that it's presented right now. So what you actually need to do is to go up here to the right-hand top side and click download. When you do that, you should now get a Word document. So this is why it's important that you have Word on your computer. And what you will typically see when you download a file from Canvas is you'll get this kind of like warning up at the top that says that you cannot edit it. It says you can only view it. So all you need to do is make sure in this yellow ribbon at the top that you click Enable Editing. And then that'll let you now edit this document. Make sure when you're doing these worksheets, don't change the questions I've given you. Don't change anything in the header. All you need to do is just start filling out your answer to the question here. Okay. So there's each numbered question. Make sure you go and you give a response for each of these. Obviously, type real words and not just gibberish. When you're done, make sure that you save this as a new file. Give it a name that's, useful. You can leave the name there as it is, but I would at least add something that says completed or filled out, or you could put your name on there. Just do something that makes it different. Because commonly an issue I run into is that students will accidentally just upload the blank template instead of the one that they've filled out. So it's on you, it's your responsibility to make sure you're uploading the correct document. So you'll download your document, answer all the questions, make sure that you save it. Then back in Canvas, you will upload your assignment to that same place. So here I'm in week 3. Under assignments on Design Research. If you go here and click on Start Assignment, then basically you need to upload your file. So you're going to click on Upload, choose File, go and find that worksheet that you just filled out wherever you saved it. That should add it here, and then click this Submit Assignment button. So that's how you'll do those more like worksheet-based assignments throughout the course of the quarter. So I think that covers pretty much all of how you will be navigating through Canvas. Again, by the time you see this video, you probably will be able to see all of up to week 10. Another thing I would like to point out as well is that you also have like a Canvas calendar that will keep track of all of your assignments and exams and things. Again, because right now at this moment, I have stuff up to week 3. That calendar isn't completely filled out, but it will be very soon. Again, probably by the time this video is even uploaded. But you can go over here to view course calendar, and that's where you'll see all of these assignments. Things are pretty much always due Fridays at midnight. So that's, kind of in general. You are always allowed to work ahead. So even though things are due Friday at midnight, if you want to submit it Wednesday or Thursday, or even start submitting all your assignments now, you can definitely do that. Also on this calendar, you will see that our midterm exam and our final exam are open for like a full week each. So I'll talk about that more after I get out of this calendar. 1 second. So that calendar resource is very helpful to help you keep track of deadlines and assignments. So for the midterm and the final exam, I guess that's the last thing I need to talk about here. The midterm exam will be open. Let's see. Let's actually go to the syllabus because we haven't looked at that yet. Make sure I'm not missing anything. The midterm exam will be open from May 1st to May 5th. So that's week 5 of the quarter. The midterm exam and the final exam, questions from those will be based off of the quiz questions. But the midterm and final will be a little bit different. So you will have a time limit. I will give you an hour to complete the midterm exam. So any time within that week from May 1st to May 5th, you need to just go into Canvas, go to the midterm, open it up, and you'll have, once you open it up, you'll have 1 hour to complete it. There will be 20 questions on the midterm, 20 questions on the final. Like I said, those will come from the quizzes, and you will only get 1 attempt at the midterm and the final. Since this is an online class, I personally don't like to use some of those kind of invasive tools that like record you and proctor you and monitor you. And so, I would say it's open notes, open whatever, because I'm not doing anything to monitor whether you use those resources. But keep in mind, if you go into the midterm or the final thinking that if you haven't done any work to try to remember any of the content and you go in just thinking you're going to answer all the questions from your notes, because of that hour time limit, you might run into issues. You might find that if you're going through the textbook, going through your notes, trying to find every answer, that it's taking longer than that 60 minutes will allow you. So please do make sure that you use those quizzes to study for the midterm and the final. Try your best to answer them mostly from memory, but then you can rely on your notes if there's a couple things you forgot, or if you just want to check, make sure your answers are correct. You'll be more successful if you actually study the content and try to remember it. So that's the way midterms and finals will work. While I'm here on the syllabus, all of the assignments you'll be doing are listed here with the breakdown of how those affect your grade. Another thing I'll point out, I have office hours scheduled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 8 to 9. Those are physical in-person office hours where you can come talk to me face-to-face if you want to. I can also certainly Zoom with you. This is an online class, so during that time, if you can't make it to campus, maybe you live far away, just let me know and we can set up a Zoom appointment to meet. I'm also available way more than just that time. So if 8 to 9, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday does not work for you, maybe you're sleeping in, maybe you have another class, maybe you have work, whatever it is. If there's another time that works better for you, I'm available a lot more often than that. So just send me an email or a message and we can set up another time to either Zoom or meet in person. Either way works for me. Other things from the syllabus I want to highlight, if you have any accommodations that you need, really the ones that would apply to this class would be maybe extended time on the exams, for example. Then please reach out to me as soon as possible and I'll make sure that I set that up on Canvas so that you get some extra time. I think most of the other things on the syllabus you can read on your own or we've already covered. So probably the last thing you're thinking about is that career report assignment. Like I said, I'm going to post another video of that just because that's something you might want to come back to throughout the quarter. And I wouldn't want you to have to kind of dig through this introductory video to find those instructions. So I'll have another video about that in just a second. Last thing I want to say is just kind of some tips to help you be successful. And one thing I would say is there tends to be kind of 2 different definitions of what successful means in a college course. To you as the student, successful is probably focused on your grade. You want to know, how can I get an A or whatever, high grade you're shooting for. And the answer to that really is just to make sure you're signing into Canvas regularly. I would say at least a couple times a week, you need to be signing into Canvas, checking for announcements, completing the assignments. Make sure you do all of the assignments, follow the instructions, do them by the listed deadlines. If you run into any issues, if you're not sure about something, make sure you're communicating with me, sending me emails, sending me messages through Canvas. If you do all that, then you're almost certainly going to get an A or a very high grade in the course. Another version of success that I think is more important is actually learning the material in a way that you're going to retain it for a long time, and also applying the material to your own life personally. For me, I went into psychology and stuck with it all the way to a PhD, because to me, a good psychology course is almost like therapy in a way. So many of my psychology courses taught me how to see the world differently, how to empathize with the people around me, how to understand myself and how my mind works and why I maybe do some of the things I do, how to create better habits and set goals and follow them, how to help the people around me to also do those things. And so I think if you're successful in a psychology course in that way, you're taking the material, you're applying it to your own life, and you hopefully maybe come out of the course a slightly better person than when you went in. So to accomplish that version of success, a couple tips I would give you. Number one is to pace yourself with the content. I know it can be tempting when you have an online class where all 10 weeks of material are available to maybe sit down, next week and go through everything and try to get all the assignments done. And that's very responsible of you. It helps you maybe manage your time better. You can focus on your other classes. So I understand that temptation. But if you want to learn the material better and have the time to reflect and apply it on yourself, then it's much better to pace yourself, to kind of treat the class as you would treat a normal face-to-face class. So I've arranged things in weeks with the hope that you will go through them each week, kind of doing, 1 or 2 chapters at a time, 1 or 2 lectures at a time, a few assignments here and there. That gives you more time, like I said, to kind of process the material, really understand it, connect with it, and apply it to your own life. And that kind of brings me to my second tip, is to be very intentional about that. So everything you read about or learn about in this class, as much as possible, I want you to take some time to kind of reflect and think about, how does this apply to me? How does this apply to my upbringing? How does this apply to my significant other or my friends or things that I've seen on movies or TV shows? When you're making those connections, it helps you to apply it to yourself in all the ways I talked about before. It also helps you to learn the material in a way that you're going to remember it. I think that's particularly important if you have any remote interest whatsoever in taking more psychology courses in the future. Those psychology classes are going to expect that you have this foundation from Psych 100, that you know these concepts. So if you just rush through the class, then probably by the fall or whenever you take another psychology course, you're going to forget most of the stuff you learned in this class, and it's going to make it harder to be successful in those future courses. So pacing yourself, applying the content to yourself is really going to help you in the long run, even if it's a little bit more work and kind of time management on your part this quarter. So I think that gives you kind of everything you should need to know about how to get started in the course, how to navigate, how to be successful. Again, if you ever have any questions, you need help with anything, please reach out to me. I will do my best to help in any way that I can.